Howdy folks. I've started on the wooden cabinet for this mystery pie of mine. I thought I'd start out with the base because the base of the original one was completely gone. I mean, there was no base at all. And so I thought I'd make it something fairly hefty, so this is fairly decent 1/2 inch ply. And so I've measured up and mounted the slots for the brackets that hold the chassis in place, and I've because the wood is thicker than probably the original, I had to recess the other side here so that I'd be able to get enough bite on the nuts and stuff when I tighten it up. Anyway, a long way to go. I only managed to make some rough calculations from the original one that was completely rotted away, but hopefully it'll be enough for me to make a halfway decent looking cabinet by the time we're done. And when you put it together, it looks a bit like this. I might have to make some changes though, because the chassis is sitting right down on the wood. And so I'm not sure if there'll be enough ventilation. There's loads of holes everywhere in it, but originally these were probably 1/8 of an inch or so up off the wood with those Bakelite washers or whatever they are, spacers underneath. So I might have to do that, but hey, we'll see. So this is the front panel. I was very lucky in that the size of the aperture for the speaker and the dial is smaller than the P53 opening, but the router template I built for the P53, and this is built for the inner dimensions of that particular opening, coincides exactly with the outside dimensions of this other pie that for this cabinet. Anyway, so it's just slightly different procedure, but I can use the same router template to get the opening, and just put one of these little bushes here in the small router bit to give me the clearance away from the template so that the inner cut is the right size. So far so good. It's always more difficult when you don't have a drawing, so my strategy in that scenario is to just go slowly and offer the chassis up on regular intervals and check everything, rather than try and make an accurate dimension drawing and then discover later on you missed something and it doesn't work. So one step forward. So here's where we are with the front panel, which I've got started on today. So I've got the basic dimensions, the aperture cut out, and bevels, and a little rabbet to fix it to the base. I thought I was going to be lucky because the router template I made for the previous one, even though I cut it for the inner dimensions of the aperture, was actually the same as the outer dimensions in this one. I thought I'd get away with it, but I didn't. In the end I had to make a separate template, so there's one for the original pie, and just using a bit of scrap wood I cut another one for this mystery pie that I'm doing. So at this rate I'll be able to get into production making these things. Anyway, next I'll do the side panels, and then we'll start offering up the chassis to it to see where I cut the holes for all the controls.